In this video, we're going to be talking about division. This is actually going to be our first of 2 videos on division. In this video, we're going to be talking about TEKS 3.4H, 3.4J, 3.4F, 3.5D, and 3.4I. These are all of our division supporting standards that lay the foundation for students' understanding of division and the relationship between multiplication and division. If you notice, 2nd grade did have a TEK talking about division, but basically what 2nd graders did was their teacher gave them a word problem, they were given concrete objects, and they had to create equal sets with those objects. So they may not even have talked about the term division, and they may not have ever seen the division symbol. Okay, it was more about the action of separating into equal groups. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about what 3rd graders need to know. So you have to understand as a 3rd grade teacher that students are not going to come to you knowing how to divide. You are their background into division. So you're going to want to start exactly where 2nd grade did. And you're going to do a lot of practice by giving students word problems and letting them have the manipulatives so that they can understand that division is separating into equal sets. So when I talk about making sure division is done in contextual situations, all that means is that we want you telling students stories for them to divide, that create that action scenario or that story that gives them reason behind their doing the division. So for instance, I may tell boys and girls, I was walking in the park the other day and I passed an apple tree and there were 24 apples on the ground. So I decided to pick them up, and I went home and I put the apples into 4 baskets. Okay, so boys and girls, how many apples did I have? I had 24. And I want to put them into 4 baskets. So students can draw this picture. You can have actual baskets or cups there. You can have pieces of paper they do this on. But students are actually just going to take the 24 and we're going to talk to them about, we're going to put these into 4 equal, we're going to put an equal amount of apples in each of the 4 baskets. And we're going to continue doing that until we don't have any more left. Okay. So we're going to ask students, so how many apples do I have in each basket? I have 6 apples in each basket. So what I did here was I did 24 divided by, and divided by means that I'm putting things into separating things into equal sets or equal groups. I knew how many groups I had, but I did not know how many apples were going to go in each group. So in this scenario that I gave students, they were looking for the number of items in each group. Okay. All right, so now I may give boys and girls another scenario. And I may say, all right, boys and girls, when I went by the tree, I knew that it would take me 6 apples to bake 1 pie. 6 apples to bake 1 pie. So how many pies could I make? And so of course they would count out 6 and 6, 6, 6. So how many apple pies could I make? I can do 4. In this scenario, students are looking for the number of groups. When you're giving kids these contextual situations for them to do division with, make sure you're giving them both types of situations where they're looking for the number of items in each group and the number of groups. Then I'm going to talk to students after I've done that for a little while. I can introduce the vocabulary to them in a division problem. This is called the dividend. I always don't know if I spell it right. This is called the divisor. And this is called the quotient. Okay. And then you're going to do this whole relating to multiplication, and you're going to have them, now hopefully as you do these situations, it's going to come out on its own. Hopefully you're going to have a student that says, wait, this looks just like multiplication because these are equal groups with the same amount in each group. And so if I join them together, it's multiplication. If they don't come up with that, you're going to ask them, boys and girls, look at this. If I wanted to know how many apples I have all together, what would I have to do? Well, you would have to take 4 groups times 6 in each group, and that would give you 24. Well, do you see a correlation to what we did a minute ago with them when we divided? And hopefully they're going to come to the realization of, oh my goodness, they are the same thing, they're related. If I know 24, if I know 4 times 6 equals 24, then I can easily understand that 24 divided by 4 is going to be 6, because what times 4 gives me 24, okay? So this first part, I think it's like the first 6 days, you basically are doing this with students, using different type of manipulatives, having students write out the division sentences, have them write out the multiplication sentences, talk about how they're related, continually ask students what number is the divisor, what number is the dividend. So you are doing that before you get to problem solving, because the problem solving piece is where we're actually going to talk through Cutie Pack and all of that, and they're going to be solving word problems. Okay, trying to think if there's anything else I didn't tell you. Oh, you do have the teach that talks about divisibility rules. And this does not mean you have to teach students the divisibility rules of 8 and 7 and 3 and 4 and all of that. What this means is they're really talking about the divisibility rule of 2 to figure out even and odd numbers. And in 2nd grade, what they did, see, we'll just use this number for instance, or we'll use this. In 2nd grade, this is what they did. They were given a group of items, and they said, well, this is the number 11. Let's figure out if it's even or odd. So in 2nd grade, they did what they called their pairs. And they put 1 by 1. They made up pairs. And they went, uh-oh, there's one without a pair, so therefore this is an odd number. What we want students to do in 3rd grade is to do a lot of this so they come up with the understanding that if a number ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, it is always going to be divisible by 2. Okay? But we don't want to just teach this to students. We don't want to just tell them this. I want them to do enough of this. 11 is odd. All right, so what about this one? Well, 12 is even. All right, well, let's try 10. Well, 10 is even. Okay, what about 13? Oh, well, 13's odd. And I know that because I've been doing this. And I'm going to make a list, and then the kids are going to go say, I want you to figure out a pattern. What do you notice about all even numbers? And that is when they can go through and see, oh my goodness, they all end in 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8 because all of those numbers are divisible by 2. And 1 is not divisible by 2, and 3 is not divisible by 2, and 5 is not, and so forth. So my goal here is for students to come up with this rule, not for us as teachers just to teach it to them. Okay, I think that is it for this video. Just make sure you're telling kids lots of stories, whatever manipulatives they are using. Make it fun. If your stories are about Fruit Loops, have Fruit Loops for them to divide with. If your stories are about goldfish, have goldfish for them to divide with. So make it fun. Give them lots of hands-on experiences with division. Remember, this is the first time they've seen this. So we're going to talk about solving word problems with the division in the next video. This is their time to get the conceptual understanding of what division is, so that when they get to word problems, they can use what they know of multiplication to be successful. Multiplication and division to be successful. All right, see you in the next video.